Hi guys, Jordan from PB Campers. Just going to do your hand of a video on your Burstner Argos. So if we start around the outside of the van, starting on the near side, so the passenger side, we've got your diesel filler cap. So that's just literally by pulling from this corner here, and then the ignition key goes in there, turn 90 degrees and take that out. So that's your diesel tank in there. Not really anything to show you in here because it's just storage, so I won't open that up, but it's basically just a main Burstner key for that one. Same exactly with this one, so you can see what was there inside there, but you know, you don't really need to see that, to be honest. It's just storage. But yeah, loads and loads of storage through here, all the way through to the back, through to the other side, so that's really nice. Your gas locker, so you've got two gas low bottles, sorry. So to turn these on, you literally, it does tell you on the top, but basically anti-clockwise round to the left for on, and if you want to do that on both, you can. And if you remember to go all the way on when you do that, so you can't go any further, not really tightly, but not tightly, just made a word up, but there you go. So if you just do that, when you come back to the van to turn it off, you can only go one way, which is clockwise round to the right for off. And if, again, it doesn't have to be really tight, just like that, and then just do the same on the other, and that's before you start driving. I have pressure tested this whole system from this pressure point here, so there's no leaks anywhere away from there, and I have also sprayed up all of these joints just to double check, because I think I had to change a few of the rubber O-rings in these because they were a bit sort of old, so I've replaced a lot of those. But nothing inside here is leaking, and it's all working as it should, all nice and secure, and also the dropouts underneath the bottles are where they should be. And if you want to fill this system up, you push in and round to the left on this little cap, and that comes out in your hand, and then you can fit your bayonet fitting or whatever it is at the petrol station where you are into there, and then obviously fill your gas up nice and cheaply. So yeah, so that's how that works. Obviously, like the main part, you know, anti-clockwise round to the left for on, but make sure you do turn them off when you are going to start driving. Bullfinch external water point, so that's hot and cold water. There is a new one of those inside the van, which we'll leave out for you. So basically you push that in there and then turn the handle to whichever way you want, hot or cold or off, and that gives a little tap down like that just to make sure it doesn't flap around when you drive. Toilet, so you've got a new style Thetford toilet. And if I just show you, so it's the bigger one. So the green button at the back there, sometimes they're yellow, but this one's green. Basically, the only thing I need to tell you is that I've lubricated this lip seal here, so that doesn't need to be done. When you empty it out, you want to pull this out towards you and take this cap off. But basically, the only thing I need to tell you is that green button at the back there, you need to hold that on when you're emptying the cassette. And that's just basically a pressure release valve, and it'll come out a lot easier. But yeah, nothing more technical than that. If you find one day that you're going to take this out and you can't pull it out any further than about here, then you need to go into the bathroom and close the flap up, because you'll find that you've accidentally left it open, and that's the only reason they won't come out. Otherwise, don't try pulling at it too hard, because, you know, like I said, it would just break the flap. So make sure you don't do that. And then you can, again, like I said, it's the same kind of thing. You just push that in, just make sure you get that little clip like you heard there, and then you'll be able to lock that up. Fresh water, so you push in and round to the left to undo this, and as I was going around and doing the hab check, I noticed that this one here is pretty much the only lock on the entire van that isn't that Burstner key. It's the single circular key with a black top to undo this fresh water cap. A lot of the lockers around the van have got these kind of latches, so you just need to pull them and pop that into that slot. I can't really do it with one hand, to be honest, but you basically pop it into that slot there and then just push this little cap over, and it keeps them really strong. If it's quite windy, then they're much better. All of this lot here, this big lever here, is for the Audi heating, so you don't need to mess with that. But this here is your fresh tank, and there should be a little bung in there in order to drain it out. I'll just close that up. Yeah, I've also got access to a few other bits on the other side as well. So just down here you've got your boiler drain, basically. All right, so if I lifted one of these up, the water from the boiler would start draining out onto the floor. You can do that on both of those. And then your waste drain is this one in this little hole here. So that's the red lever. So you want to turn that the only way it'll go, and then that'll drain your wastewater out. So yeah, that's that. Up here as well is your little inverter that you've got. A lot of the time we sort of say you can use those, but really they do tend to drain a little bit of power out of your leisure battery. So try not to sort of overload the battery with that too much. But you'll work all that out, to be honest, when you start using it. This here is your your 240 volt hookup. So as long as you've got a cable plugged into here on your campsite or at home, wherever you're going to be using it, then you have access to using your 240 volt bits and pieces, and also your charger will start charging your leisure battery automatically. And that, again, like I said, it's got a little clip to put that over in here. So next we've got this, which is the external gas point, so you call it your barbecue point. So again, you'd have to get the bullfinch style fitting to pop into there. Basically it's like a push fit essentially, and then you just open it or close it. This vent here, that's for your boiler, so that's your heating. If you weren't sure if it was definitely on or not, you can put your hand underneath here and then you feel hot air coming out from underneath here. These two vents here that say Dometic on them, they're your fridge vents. So same kind of thing, it's not quite as easy with these bigger vents, but you can put your hand over here and you should be able to feel a little bit of warmth coming out there if it is lit on gas. And then obviously, the last thing really is this locker, but there's not really anything to show you as such. It's basically just storage, and all these pipes around here like that, that's all for your Audi heating. So because it's like what you call a wet central heating style sort of unit, they kind of pump hot water around the van to do that. And then finally, I'll just show you in the cab. It's a little bit messy because of the paintwork that's been done on it, but we'll show you in the cab. So basically what you've got air conditioning here in the middle, which will only work if you've got the fan setting above 0, and then you've got your actual fan controller, so you tell it where to put the hot air or cold air, whichever. Your actual head unit, single din head unit there, turns on and works as it should, I believe. I didn't really have it on for very long, to be fair, but heated rear window obviously won't work because there's no rear window, or no original rear window. Rear fog light, you can lock and unlock the cab from inside. That's obviously not working because I've not got this door shut, but that would work. 6-speed manual gearbox. Reverse is pull up and over to the left. Got a few other bits here. Your lights are on the left hand stalk just here, like that. Flash, indicators, washers and wipers on the right hand stalk. You've also got electric adjusting mirrors. If I just, oh, it's not focusing. Electric adjusting mirrors here, so you can go through and choose. So that's your main left hand mirror, bottom left hand mirror, main right hand mirror, bottom right hand mirror, and then you can just use that as a joystick basically, to move the mirrors around. And then you've got your electric windows, so you can go through and sort of, both sides, and then this passenger side should have just the one there as well. Reversing camera works really well because I just use it to get in here. So yeah, I'll just point out to you quickly the last thing, just show you where the bonnet release is, and that is just inside the passenger door, the side door, just there. Not sure if I pointed that out to you already or not, but okay, so we'll go around the inside now, show you a few bits inside the van. So straight away you notice you've got this here, so that's your Audi heating, like I said. So that's like a radiator basically, just like any household radiator, shaped a little bit differently, but same idea. Okay, so at the moment I've got the control panel on. I know it's not bright in your face, but that's because it goes dim after a little while, so it doesn't wind you up in your sleep. if I wanted to turn everything off, I can press this button down here, 12 volt, and it'll come up saying 12 volt off. Okay, so when I have it on like that, I can go through and I can start turning on the lights and things like that. You know, go through and use all the lights you want. Make sure that you've got all the ones on that you want to have on. I can't remember off the top of my head where the switch is for that one. Oh, here, just here. All right, so I've had to, on the hab check actually, I had to replace quite a few bulbs because they're all kind of odd or broken and things like that. So a lot of them are nice brand spanking new bulbs, so they should last quite some time. Okay, yeah, so that's that. Basically, there's nothing, you know, to be honest, there's not really anything else to it. You've got this little button here which tells you your water level. So that's 25% fresh water and no wastewater. If I can focus that again. So that's fresh, that's waste. And then the one above that's got a little battery symbol. And so it's telling you that you've got 13 volts in the leisure battery and then 12.8 volts in the engine battery. You can also go through and set the time, and there's timers for things to come on and stuff like that, but really the main things are just these three here. And your water pump works on it's a submersible water pump, so it'll only come on when you pull the tap itself. All right, so it literally won't come on, the pump won't run and run and run, it will only come on if you pull the tap. It works with a little micro switch. So yeah, okay. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with this camera, but it's not focusing. All of you've got a 4-hob burner. They've all got a thermocouple on them, which is the little bit of metal that sticks to the back. What that means is that when your flame is lit, the thermocouple knows that it's lit. If somehow the flame got blown out, the thermocouple would notice and it would stop any excess unburnt gas from coming through. It does take a few seconds, so you would get a little bit, but you know, it would stop it before it got really bad. So that's that. Your grill is all working as it should, and the oven as well, obviously. They all work off of the same ignition. So you've got this igniter here. So yeah, they all work. Nothing to show you under there. Much to show you in there, I don't think. That's just a gas fitting. Okay, so under here is quite important. So you've got your Aldi heating sort of unit. So on the right hand side, we've just got 1 to 5. You can leave it where the little circle is. That's where I leave it most of the time. On the left hand side here, you've got 3 electrical symbols. So you can have it on 1, 2 or 3 electric. And I have written on the hab sheet, or I should have written on the hab sheet at least, how many amps each one of those pulls. The one in the middle is how to use the system on gas. So basically, if you want to use the system on gas only, have this one on and this one off. If you want to use the system on electric only, have this one on and the gas one off. All right, I would advise that if you are going to use it on electric, have it on 1 or 2, because as you'll see on the hab sheet, I think it pulls nearly like 13 amps on 3 electric, which is ridiculous. So I would personally just leave it down low on 1 or 2, because they'll get the job done, but just, you know, it won't pull quite so much power. And then so on the right hand side here, you've got heating and hot water, or hot water only. So if I popped it here, then at the moment I've got no hookup plugged in, so I could have to put it there and that would start working. Or if I wanted hot water only, I'd go all the way up to the top and that would just start heating the water up on its own just via the gas. Alright, so that's how that works. You've also got that button there, which is the pump for the Audi system, so that pumps the water around basically. Nice and easy. So yeah, basically push that up there. So yeah, that's basically how it works. Pretty easy, and also quite reliable as well. There's quite a lot of switches all the way around the van, to be honest, which you have to sort of work out and decide which lights you like and which ones you don't, etc. So yeah, I'll show you the main parts. So we've got the fridge, which is a 3-way fridge. So basically it works on gas, mains, or 12 volt. The auto button, I personally don't tend to use them on auto. I think it's a bit pointless personally. But basically it would decide which energy to use automatically on its own. But really it's just as easy just to go through and choose it yourself. So gas lights up literally just like that. So you literally just turn it to gas. And if you've got your gas on, which I don't at the moment, it will just light up on its own. Hookup, I've got a red light because there's no hookup plugged in, but that would be green. And then finally you got 12 volt. So that only really works when your engine's running. So if I went and started the engine now, the 12 volt element in the back of the fridge would start to cool the thing down. But the way these work, same with any fridge, doesn't matter how big or small it is, you need to get the fridge cold first via the gas or the electric only. Say if you're going to go on holiday, then the night before, if you fill your fridge up with all your stuff, the night before, pop it over on gas or electric if you've got it hooked up. And then by the morning, everything will be freezing cold, and then you can just switch it down to the 12 volt for when you're driving to where you're going. And then when you do get to where you're going, you can then switch it back over to one of the other two. So basically what that means, you know, essentially is what I'm trying to say. The 12 volt won't get it cold on its own. It needs to be cold already before you do it. And it's just for driving only. This little button here, this is just a little tiny fan on the back of the fridge, and basically that's for when you're in the absolute peak of summer and it couldn't get any hotter. Again, it's another one of those things which is reasonably unnecessary, because most of the time it will light up on its own anyway. But if you find in the summer that you can't get it to light up, then you can just try that as well. Also, if it's really, really hot and it won't light up on gas, try turning it all the way down to 0 and then turning it up again once it is lit, because sometimes it can overload itself with not enough air. So yeah, but that's the fridge. The gas isolators are in here. So basically, you know, if you want to isolate any of your gas appliances, so you've got the cooker, heating and fridge. So if I wanted to isolate the cooker because I thought it was leaking gas, I can just literally do that, and then no gas will go to that appliance. So it's really, really easy. But yeah, they all work exactly how they should. Your leisure battery and a few bits like that are under this seat. The 240 volt trip switch is under there as well, so if you needed to get to that, then it is under this seat here, but really you shouldn't ever really need to get to that unless you plug something really dodgy into one of your plugs. What else have we got? I'll pop this down. Got your extractor up there, and your lights. The Audi water system is all up here, so if you want to top up the coolant in there, you can do. Oh, my bad. The 240 volt trip switch is actually in this main wardrobe. So if you, again, like I said, if you put something dodgy into one of the plugs, then it will trip in here, and then you just come in here. This is like a household trip, and just flick it back up so that it's showing red, and that should be fine. Your shower is, again, it works with a micro switch, so there's no real pressure there until you start using it, which is good because sometimes if something's got a, you know, if it's going to get a little bit of a leak, then it tends to be from these ones, which, no, the other ones which have got more pressure behind them. So these tend to be pretty good for us, really. Check that as part of the hub check. It works as it should. Bathroom. So you've got this kind of little radiator here, which again is the Audi heating side of things. Again, exactly the same thing with this tap. The micro switch instead of pressure. Toilet. Literally just pull the water through like that. It's telling you here how full the cassette is, so that'll be emptied out. Let me clean it out. So that's how that works. And like I was saying to you, you need to make sure that your flap is over and closed like this before you try and take the cassette out from outside. Otherwise you won't get very far with it, to be honest. One thing to point out, and also this is really neat, I think, this sort of design where the door closes up like this to give you like a bit of privacy. Yeah, one thing to point out with these style window latches, if you park really close to something and try to open this window, because it works on a latch and it needs to be opened out a little bit more to then come all the way back, sometimes if you park too close to something, you won't be able to open it up that little bit extra in order to let it to come back in on itself. So just make sure that you don't literally park right up against the wall and then try and open this window, because you'll find that you have to take this off, which to be fair is only this one screw, but you don't really want to have to do that. So just make sure you're not too close to something before you start trying to open the windows up. What else have we got? Nice bed up here. You got a couple of USB points up here, and also a 240 volt socket up the top for your TV. Don't know what else there is. What else have we got to show you? Showed you the cooker, showed you the fridge, showed you the Audi heating on electric and gas. You've got a ladder up the top here to get up to the top bed. Okay. So yeah, you've got the same kind of latch style windows throughout, so the same applies all the way around really. So just make sure that you're not really close to something before you start trying to do that. But yeah, otherwise I think that's about it. I know you're coming down to tomorrow to pick the van up. We're going to go through and clean it tomorrow morning as soon as we're in. Give it a clean on the outside, ready for you. But yeah, if you think I've missed anything or you want me to go through anything else, then let us know and we'll get back in contact. Or you can ask any questions to Kelly or my dad, Daniel, tomorrow when you turn up. But yeah, otherwise we look forward to seeing you soon tomorrow to pick up your van. Thanks very much.